it's Linda with No Frills ASMR. I thought today we could go back to the future. I found this catalog from 1985 and it says Computer Creations Inc. Fall Catalog. And I thought maybe it would be fun to just sort of look through it a little bit. It's mostly just order forms. And so I thought before we go through it, we could look into all the companies that are selling in this catalog. Because some of them we've heard of, but some of them I didn't really remember, to be honest. And obviously I don't know that off the top of my head, so I Googled it a little bit and took some notes. I thought we could just talk about them. Now, the first one here, Commodore, is super familiar to me because, and Atari, actually, both of these. When I grew up in the 80s, we used to go to a place called the Space Station, and you would go there and play video games. And that would be an all-day activity, and it was awesome. But at some point, we got, and I think Atari was the very first thing we got. And it was a gaming system that had the game Pong on it. And there may have been, I wrote down here that Atari did Pong and Space Invaders. I feel like this was later. I think our original one had just Pong. And if you don't know what Pong is, I'm pretty sure I can give you a graphic. So Pong, it's almost like ping pong. And there's a line here. And then you have a guy that looks like that. And the other player has a guy that looks like that. Let me remember exactly. I feel like there was a bounce situation, and then there was a little ball, and it would go back and forth, but it would go in different directions depending on how you hit it. And so you'd move your slider up and down. And as the game got more difficult, the ball would start to move faster, and your slider would get smaller. And it would keep getting smaller and smaller. And that is all I remember about Pong, but I do remember spending a whole summer with my neighbor. I guess my neighbors, but one in particular, playing Pong all the time. And my mom, having some foresight, put it in the attic when we were kind of over it to save, because she felt that it would be worth a lot of money someday, being the first, home video game. But us kids didn't know she had done that for a reason. And so one time a neighbor boy came over and was like, I'll buy that off you for $5 or whatever. And we're like, yeah, absolutely, sure. And my mom got mad. But anyway, that's beside the point. All right, so Atari had Pong, and we had that. And then my brother, who ended up being a computer scientist, and he was always interested in computers. I remember just talking my parents into buying our first computer, which was a Commodore VIC-20. And it seems to me it was bigger than this. In my recollection, it was a very big computer. So we had the VIC-20, and I remember it had a word processing program that we could use for papers. And I very clearly remember writing a very long paper that was very difficult. And I don't remember what happened, but the whole thing got lost. And I was crying, and my brother was like, you have to save. Every 10 minutes, you have to save. And I was like, and that's when I learned about saving. Save your work on a computer, because if something happens, it's gone. Anyway, so that was learning 101. And then at some point we got an Atari that had word processing, I feel like. My memory's a little foggy on that. I know what. Okay, hold on. I gotta clear my throat. Hold on. Sorry, I have a persistent cold. Um, I remember now that we had the Commodore, and I learned to write BASIC programs, and BASIC was like go to, you'd write like if this then run, if this then go to line 3. I can't even remember, but I came up with this whole program that was like a choose your own adventure science fiction thing, and I was 6 years I think younger than my brother and his friends, and they all came over and played it, and they're like, oh my God. And they're looking at it and they're like, you did this the most difficult way, but it works. And it's so, anyway, okay. So then we got an Atari, and on the Atari, you could get the cartridges, game cartridges. And I think that one we had Frogger, and we had Centipede. And I remember my mom started playing Centipede like she was addicted to that. She'd come home from work at night and play Centipede, which is funny to think of now because it's the only time I've ever seen her play a video game was Centipede. Okay, so what I wrote about, Commodore 64 was the highest selling computer, and I think they meant of all time to this day, I think. And it was compared to the Ford Model T because they produced so many, and they made it affordable kind of for common people to have in their homes. And it was, smaller scale. So that was the Commodore. The Atari, all I wrote was Pong and Space Invaders. But we all know Atari. Still a brand, isn't it? Wait, is it? I don't know. I think Atari is still around. Maybe not. I don't know. And then, Activision. Okay, they say Activision made games for consoles like Atari. And Activision's still a company for sure, because I think I actually have some stock in Activision right now. But what I don't remember Activision, maybe they made the Centipede and those games, but I don't remember it so much as a kid. But I do remember when my kids, like in the 2010, at Walmart, they sold a little thing, a little device that had a couple of Activision games on it from vintage, and it was like Pitfall, and I forget the other ones, but my kids like that. Anyway, okay. And then Infocom, they made games for other devices too. And the game that sounded familiar to me was Zork, but I can't really think of what that was, but I feel like I remember that. And The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I don't remember the game, but I remember the book and the TV show or the movie, whatever it was, because my nerd brother was really into that. And Infocom ended up being bought out by Activision. Let's see. Epix was a video game developer until the 1990s. TimeWorks did desktop accessories. Oh, this is kind of funny because they made desktop accessories that you'd put I assume it was a floppy disk, but I don't know how it worked. I didn't. But and it would give you this is of course pre-internet, pre-Google, any of that. So your computer couldn't do a whole lot, if I'm honest. Like ours, we had a word processing program so we could write papers, and then maybe you could write some programs with BASIC, and I don't even remember what else it could do. But this TimeWorks allowed you to put in a floppy disk, and then you could have things like, and they said a timekeeper, which I think means a clock, and a dictionary, a thesaurus, a typewriter, which I would assume is a word processing program. They had other funny words in there. I was like, okay. I found a vintage ad from them. And then this Broderbund software made games for all the different devices. But I saw in 1990s they made the game Myst, which I was addicted to Myst. I loved that game. And I played it forever, and then I think I've maybe told this story before, but I got stuck because it was all these puzzles. You had to do puzzles, and I think part of why I liked the game, it was super quiet. Like there was just sort of ambient noise. I can't even remember if there was music, maybe sort of an ambient music. And you'd go through, and there were no people. There was no one around. It was just like nature. And then you'd have to solve puzzles. But I got stuck, and I called my brother, who was a computer, and I said, I'm so stuck. And he gave me a cheat code. And I don't remember how you put it in or what you did, but whatever I did, I put it in. You guys, all of a sudden, these two men dressed like big dudes come out on the game, and they were like yelling at me and like saying basically that I cheated and shut down the game. And I had to start over from scratch. And when it happened, it was like 3 a.m. and I'm sitting there all silent and quiet. And all of a sudden, these dudes come out and yell at me. It freaked me out so bad. I'm telling you, it's a true story. Okay. So the next one, STAR, the power behind the printed word. So I put word processing, I guess. I had trouble finding that one, I think. Panasonic, of course, is still around, right? It is, I think. Well, anyway, they were around for a long time if they're not. But what I thought was interesting is they were founded in 1918. I guess I just didn't know they had products that early, but they did. So they were known for making IBM compatible computers and Panasoft software in the 80s. Epson, they are still and were a printer company. And in the 1980s, they made the first dot matrix printer. And then OSS is called Optimized Systems Software Inc. They made disk operating systems for the Atari 8-bit, is what I have here. I don't even know what that means. Disk operating systems. Okay, Wico, WICO, said they made controllers. And I actually looked it up, and it was funny because they made this one with a red button and a big red joystick on it. And it like brought back memories because I think that's what we had. Although I do feel like with Centipede, there was a thing with a ball and you'd roll the ball, but I'm not sure about that. And then batteries included. They apparently, the reason their name was Batteries Included, they made a handheld device, which seems early to me because this came out in 1985. But they included the batteries in the handheld, so when you got it, it was ready to go, which was pretty unusual. And so that's why they called their shop Batteries Included. And they ended up being purchased by Electronic Arts. And then I was noticing, I was looking, I was like, oh, where's Nintendo? But Nintendo isn't on here yet because I think they didn't start really producing and selling it until 1985. And this came out in 85. So anyway, I thought we could just flip through this. It might be fun. I have Max Headroom here because he's from 1985. Max Headroom. And then Star Wars, just for color. Because I am nothing if not props. I want to get her sexy leg in there. There we go. Okay. So let's see what we have here. I cannot wait for this cold to go away. All right, if you want to order from them, their order line is 1-800-824-7506. This line is for your convenience in ordering only, so please don't misuse it. I wonder what people were doing. We are not equipped to give you information, return authorizations, or anything else on this line. Okay, fair enough. Prices. Because of supplier price changes, our prices are subject to change without notice. Methods of payment: Visa or MasterCard, personal checks, money orders, and cashier's checks. COD, which stood for credit on demand, which is so weird. They used to have that, and they don't anymore. These orders will be processed the same day. However, there will be handling charge of $3 in addition to the shipping charge. All right, fair enough. On software, there's a standard $3 shipping charge. All right. So here we have the Atari 130XE computer. Yeah, I can't remember. We may have had an Atari computer too, or maybe it was a computer and game console in one. I just don't recall exactly. I'm sure if I asked my brother, he'd know. The 800XL computer and the 1050 disk drive. This I feel like I remember. Power without the price. The Commodore 128 computer system. General features, advanced styling. Yes, it does look very advanced. Look at that. There hadn't been a typewriter that looked like that before, ever. 100% compatible with the Commodore 64. Well, that's nice. Built-in, easy-to-use DOS support. Yeah, DOS was I used to know what that stood for. Something operating system. Digital operating system. Maybe. RAM expandable up to 512K RAM using RAM expansion module. All right, built-in basic. Nice. And then here we have Star, which was the one I didn't find out much about. Oh, sorry, guys. So they say the power behind the printed word. Oh, so maybe they're just printers. Bidirectional logic seeking printing. Hex dump for debugging. Yeah. And then Panasonic and Epson. So these must all be printers. See, the Epson says 100 characters per second CPS. Near letter quality type style. Both friction and tractor feed standard. 80 column width, 9-pin print head. 100 characters per second. That seems pretty quick, I have to say. I don't know what they print now. Computer hardware. So they have the prices, so let's see. Oh, they have some of them, they say you gotta call. That's too much. If you have to ask, you can't afford it. I don't even know. This is a disk drive. A 3.5-inch DSDD 1 mg. What's mg, guys? It's not milligram. It's what is it? Mega? No, I don't know what the computer mg. I can't remember. Disk drive is $219. So there you go. Let's get to the fun stuff, which is the games. Best buy on small quantities. Oh, so you could buy a floppy disk for 59 cents a piece. Look at this one called Ape Face. Digital devices' first product and more popular than ever. The Ape Face features Centronics parallel compatibility. Okay. Okay, what do we have here? Paper clip, home pack. So these are all for like desktop work. This is all part of batteries included. Create, edit, and lay out your text with consummate ease. Correct mistakes, make wholesale changes, insert new text anywhere instantly. This would have been so advanced. I mean, imagine you're using a typewriter where you couldn't even really backspace. You could white it out in backspace. And then they came out with like Brother typewriter, had a typewriter that had maybe 2 sentences that you could look at and then say print. So that was a giant evolution. But this would be crazy. So if you spelled one word wrong, you could mark it and have it go through and find that word everywhere in your paper where you spelled it wrong. That was pretty cool. Yeah. Pretty cool. What is this doing? Graph up to 3 factors with 100 data points on each. Oh, I'm sure this was huge for people who were smart. I didn't do that. Express yourself. Wait a minute. This is 1984. I wonder if Madonna's. I don't think her song was out. No, not 18. No, 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 no. Express Yourself came out in the 90s. Let's see. Ahem. Make quite an impression with just 5 easy keystrokes. Look at how poor the printing is. You can't even see. You can't even see what you're looking at here. I guess they're making cards, because this says, and it's twins, so they're making like cards to send to people. Here's some computer software. We have biology, French, grammar, learn to read, phonics, Spanish, spelling, U.S. geography, U.S. history. Let's see, what's the most expensive here? Spelling. Wow. That must be why I'm such a bad speller. My mom was like, that's too expensive. You're fine. Oh, wait, what's this one? $115 for buy 80. I don't know what that is. Address book. Home accountant. This is Electronic Arts. Advanced construction set. Archon, Bard's Tale, Carriers at War, cut and paste word processing. Dr. J. Larry Bird one-on-one. Oh, that's cool. Huh. Dr. J and Larry Bird one-on-one, $29. Europe Ablaze, Financial Cookbook, Hard Hat Mac, Heart of Africa, Movie Maker, Music Zindernoof, Pinball Construction Set. I feel like I remember that pinball construction set. 7 Cities of Gold, Sky Fox, Ultima, and Wilderness. What's the most expensive? Let's see. It looks like Ultima. Must have been brand new. Hit games by Epics. We've got Temple of Apshai. Is that how you say that trilogy? Summer Games 2, Winter Games, and The World's Greatest Football Game. Yeah, I remember having a little handheld. It was like beige and green, I feel like, and you could play football. The Eidolon. These are Lucasfilm games. I don't know. Ball Blazer, Coronis Rift, Fast Load Cartridge, and Rescue on Fractulus. Heard of that. Spy versus Spy for Atari, Apple. Oh, see, they would show you if you could get it for your Commodore 64, your Atari, or your Apple computer. I bet, yeah, Apple's the one you can get the least. Here are the look, Wyco controllers. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, none of them had the ball. I feel like there was a ball, but maybe not. I think we had that one. Imagination sold and serviced here. There's Zork, Deadline, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Infidel, Zork 2, Zork 3. What does that say? Maybe I can see it on the phone better. Let's see. Nope. I don't know what that says. Roll Over, Orwell, A Mind Forever Voyage, Infocom. Available for most home computers with 128K or more. On-court tennis, baseball, Great Mains Race, SAT practice test. Yeah. How much is Zork? Zork 1, $26. Sorry, Max. Max 65, DOS XL. Do they tell us DOS meaning here? Nope. The basic Excel toolkit. I'm looking for a game I even know the name. Mickey's Space Adventure. Oil's Well. Oh, Frogger. Okay, so in 1985, Frogger was out. That was a fun game. I mean, it still is, but it was fun. Grog's Revenge. Black Onyx. Dark Crystal. I used to love that movie. Donald Duck's Playground. Goofy's World. King's Quest. Storymaker. Time Zone. Ulysses. Winnie the Pooh. Wizard and the Princess. Music Maestro. Baltic 1985. What are these? What brand is this? It doesn't say. I don't know which maker it is. Galactic Adventures, Fighter Command. Mock Brigade. I don't recognize those ones. Oh, look at this one's called Blue Max 2001. That would have been so futuristic. Sticky Bear. Sticky Bear ABCs. Reading Shapes. General Ledger. Money Manager. Sales Analyst. Invitation to Programming 1. Oh, look, here we go. Oh, these are good ones. Dig Dug. I used to love Dig Dug. You'd go around. I actually remember playing this at the arcade, but there were like tunnels underground. Obviously, anybody who's watching this probably already knows. If you've made it this far, you know Dig Dug. But you had your little dude, and he had like a nose, and then he'd come up to the bad guys and put his little thing in there, and you'd blow it up, and then he'd fill with air and explode. I love Dig Dug. You know what else was a great game? Quicks. Did you guys ever play Quicks? That was a great arcade game. All right. What do we have here? Asteroids. Yeah, that's a good one. Star Raiders, Pac-Man, Defender. Yeah, Quicks. There's Quicks. How much was Quicks? $12. Dig Dug, Donkey Kong. Okay. All right. Have you guys seen the documentary, The King of Kong? It probably came out, man, maybe 13 years ago now. It was good. Now, I don't know. It's been a lot of years, but I remember it being really good. Bookkeeper Kit. All the rest of those are boring. Okay. We build it for you, the Atari 520 ST. Oh, here's somebody's setup. They were going to get the Atari 520 ST with a color monitor, computer, mouse, 512K word processor, basic logo, and that was going to be $840. But they also were getting a box of paper, a ribbon, a disc, and that was another $210, and a mouse pad for $9. And then another 512K memory for $150. And then add RAM disc for $40. Whew. That would have been a lot of money back then. They must have owned a shop. Let's see, Atari, The Crimson Crown, Forbidden Quest by Priority, Express Letter Processor, Hippo C. What is that? This Crimson Crown says a spine-tingling illustrated interactive novel. Ooh. And then Forbidden Quest. I feel like that's still around. Forbidden Quest is the first of a series of our text adventures combining spellbinding prose and 5 8.5 to 11 original graphic art prints. Oh boy. Atari software. Cutthroats, Deadline, Enchanter, Infidel, Sorcerer, Suspect, Wish, Zork. Hippo Spell. Wow, that was kind of fun. Sorry if my voice, somebody said I sound like a bullhorn. I almost agree. My voice just, I gotta get rid of this cold. But anyway, Maxadrom. Max. Do you guys remember him? I should do a video just on Max. So I hope you enjoyed that. Just a little fun. Nothing important. Let me know if you remember any of these games or wish you had any of these games or I don't know. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you later. I'll just flip through this.